Testing 1, 2. I think we're live now finally. Okay, yes, I finally got it working. So anybody that's out there that is picking this up, just hop on in. We're gonna have to change my name here. It's not Landon. And we'll get this thing started. Hopefully Landon will be joining us in a minute. And there's Landon. Welcome to the call, Landon. I had to completely shut out it wasn't working right. I had to completely shut out the system and then restart it. After you left, I couldn't get I couldn't get the chat to work right. People couldn't see me or I couldn't see them. So now it's all fixed. So people should be coming in now. Yep. Hey, Ricky, how you doing, buddy? Yeah, we had a little false start. So we're starting now. Today, we're going to be talking about how to be the most interesting man in the room. I'm going to be talking to Landon here. Landon usually works our chat in the background. And the reason I want to talk with Landon is he came out to Bozeman, hung out with me for a little bit. And he wanted to go out and check out some of the bar scene that we have out here. And it's a big college town, big college bar scene, next shiny object. Everybody is huge energy. When you go to these college towns with these college bars, there's just so much energy, so much going on. And he said, how do you work in a room like this? Because everybody's attention span is about 10 seconds and they're bouncing all over the place. And so we started talking about that. And it brought me back to the old days when I used to go out to bars a lot, which I don't anymore. And when I do, I'm pretty passive, hanging out with my buddies. And it's not the thing I want to do anymore as much. But I thought one of the coolest things we used to talk about is working a room. And how do you work a room so that women get attracted to you, people get interested in you, people get curious about you and want to meet you. And so I said, well, Landon kept bugging me. So I said, I got to show him how this works and get him at least started in it so he can start to develop this ability himself. And then I just did a video on it last week. If you guys haven't seen the video, definitely check it out. Matter of fact, if you can, put in a chat anybody that's seen last, I believe it was Sunday's video on working the room. And if you haven't seen it, you definitely got to watch it. So put in the chat whether you've seen it or if you haven't seen it, and if you're going to watch it, if you haven't seen it. And so do that right now. And don't wait. Put those little fingers on the keyboard. And then in the meantime, we're going to start to talk to Landon about his experience that night and what he realized from it. And then I'll start to talk to you guys about working out with Landon, an understanding of what this is, how it works, just like in the video, and then maybe some stuff to help you start to develop this part, because it can be scary. Working a room really pushes that freedom from outcome. Letting all women go video I did, where you got to be really free from outcome. That's what you have to develop to be good at this. And if you're bad at this, nobody gives a fuck, to be honest. But if you're good at this, everybody gets interested in you. So let's dive in. Welcome, guys. So you guys haven't answered my question yet. Who's seen the video I did on working the room? Hey, Mark, how you doing, buddy? Okay. That's not the question. Who's seen the video on working the room? If you haven't, write no. I haven't seen it. That was last Sunday.
I saw it, Brian.
Landon saw it. That's one. We've got one. We're gonna dive in and talk. So I'm gonna wait until you guys. Nope, not yet. Okay. Matt saw it, or Mathan. That's an interesting name. Mathan Cham. Nathan. Excuse me, Nathan. I misread that. Seen it? No, I didn't. Awesome. Good, guys. I just want to make sure you're all alive. Nobody's dead out there. So let's dive into the next piece. If you notice, the background's a little different. I'm up in a condo in Big Sky, Montana, skiing this weekend. It's been a blast. I was just skied today for the first day. We got 7 inches of new powder and enjoying myself. So let's dive in. Let's get to know Landon a little bit. He's the one answering a lot of your questions in the background. And so Landon, how did you, before we get into working the room, tell us a little bit about yourself. What brought you to Fearless? What motivated you to step into this part of your life? What were your challenges? Because a lot of people, they really relate to challenges when people have problems. So what were your challenges? What motivated you to come here? And how has it affected your life so far?
Well, interestingly, coming from a background of my childhood, I didn't date much. So, and then I'll skip quite a bit of history, but it was a pretty challenging childhood. And so, I use alcohol and marijuana abuse to fuel that bigger energy that we're talking about. And really didn't date so much because I was so numbed out on that kind of stuff. So to get out of that environment a bit, I joined the Marine Corps. And that totally got me out of that environment and saved me from probably either getting killed or potentially being in prison for long term. So that got me out. And then after doing 2 deployments in the Marine Corps, I went to, I was one of the first to go into Afghanistan after the 9/11 attacks took place. And when I got out, I had the mindset to pursue going to college. Well, the first girl I met just before I got out, I ended up marrying. And needless to say, as a nice guy, I stayed in a relationship that really was not destined for success, you might say. So, nonetheless, I stayed in the relationship. We got married. And then I graduated from college with an accounting degree and then was rehired by the Department of Defense. So after nearly 10 years of marriage, I just called it quits and said that, it was just so detrimental to both of our lives that I decided to get out of the marriage. So not having much dating experience at all for uh, well over probably 15 years, um, I had to start somewhere. So I started at various different places. I started reading books and went to other dating gurus, you might say. And eventually, back in about 2017, stumbled across Fearless, started watching YouTube videos, just taking it a little bit at a time, growing and learning, and then eventually attending the first Integrated Man Summit with I think it was in 2019 with Dr. Glover.
Nice. Nice. And it was good to have you for that. Those are fun events, and I really enjoyed. I've really enjoyed having you there, Landon. You brought a lot of value. Landon also edited my book. He came in and just brought a lot of value. He was there to help out. Started helping out right away. Ended up editing my book. He cleaned it up a lot as far as like grammar and punctuation, stuff like that. He did a great job, and now he's becoming slowly part of the team. That's kind of how it tends to happen. Um, so, what has been your experience with Fearless as far as, changing your life? How has that affected your life, changed your life? And we're gonna get into this working the room, guys, but I just wanna get you a little understanding where he's at. Hey, Jeremy, what's up, buddy? Keep going.
Yeah, so Fearless, you teach so many different principles from several different angles. Whether it's the releasing and the revealing, which has been extremely impactful for me, and whether it's approaching women and then also combining those two skill sets so that you can be free, free from outcome and release the anxieties and things that you're experiencing. Those have been pivotal for me. Thinking what else? Just the embodiment work. Um, Learning to be grounded, to relax the frontal lobe is one of the things that we talked about quite a bit in when I was in Montana. Relaxing the heart,
Yeah.
relaxing the throat, and
Well, let's talk
relaxing the
about that.
stomach.
You're really relaxing because and this is why you were having trouble in the bar when we went out, was because you were thinking so much, your whole world was going inside, right? And there's a sense of like heavy thought. What do I do? Who do I talk to? And there's a sense of looking around at everybody, and there's a sense you can feel you're worrying, you're thinking, and when you relax and open up, this all relaxes through here and then allows you to start feeling down the front of your body. And suddenly you're like, oh, I can feel my heart. Oh, I can feel my stomach. And you start to look different. All your micro expressions change. You can feel that you're looking out and you're actually receiving the world again. So we did a lot of work with that, right?
Yep.
And what was that like? What's the difference in those two energies when you were feeling one versus the other? And we started to play around. I'm going to go through the specifics of what we did in a little bit here, guys. So don't disappear on us. But when you went through going from standing in a room full of people inward versus being outward, what was that difference like?
Well, initially there's a lot of fear because to be again, like I mentioned it previously, for me in the past, I might have used alcohol or something to numb that reality of being out there, being present. So to do it live like that, yeah, there was a lot of anxiety, a little bit of self doubt,
Yeah.
and a big learning curve, you might say.
Yeah, and so the tendency is to go back to the behavior we use for defense. In your case, I'm going to think a lot and try to think my way through this problem. But think about that for a minute, everybody. Socialization with somebody else is not an analytical problem. I've got to learn to let go and flow with people and be open hearted and laugh and be turned on and be angry and be sad and express myself emotionally to connect to other human beings. So if I go in here and start getting super analytical and thinking, it doesn't work. And then I'll go up and try to be, hi, my name's Brian. How are you? And it sounds really robotic and forced because it's all coming from here and you're not letting yourself actually feel. It's a big problem that people have. Okay, awesome. This is really good. So let's dive into this. Let's talk about what working in the room really is, or being the most interesting person in the room. And this is a concept that came from a guy named Lance that I learned from originally. It was a guy named Lance a long time ago. And Lance said that one of the easiest ways to meet women in a bar was not to go through the bar in direct approach. Well, let's reframe this, because when I said easiest, it is easiest if you're comfortable with it, but if you're not comfortable with it, it can be scary as fucking hell. But is to walk around the bar and not hit on any one girl, but pick a section where everybody can see you and start to develop connections with a lot of people. Start to get to know them, start to joke with them, start to laugh with them, start to open up your energy and flow with them. Say hi to everybody you can. And he called this working the room. And he says, and what happens is if you really start working the room well, people start to watch you. Who is this guy? He seems to know everybody. He's talking to everybody. Oh, wow, he's talking to that girl. Oh, now he's talking to that person. He's high-fiving that person. He's joking with that person. He's asking that, and then the girls start to watch because they're very curious about men that are confident, the men that know how to express themselves emotionally and aren't afraid of social tension. Matter of fact, can lead and ground in social tension. So let's say you've been working this corner, and we're going to summarize this, and we're going to go through the specifics of what happened that night, guys. And it's going to be fun. So let's say you've been working this section of the room for the last 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, and you're moving around, and now you know most of the people in that section. You've had conversations with them. Maybe you've talked to them 2 or 3 times. Now they're joking and they kind of know your name. Hey, what's up, buddy? Maybe somebody wanted to buy you a drink because you were so cool. Maybe somebody else is a dick, but then you have talking to other people, and now that person's curious, and that happens a lot. And you kind of made some friends in that section of the room. It doesn't have to be hot chicks, just people that like you. Maybe it's a hot chick, maybe it's a cool dude, maybe some dudes want to buy you a drink, but people are noticing. They're watching. They're curious, because that's, especially women, because that's what they do. They get curious about confident men. Then maybe you even said hi to her once or twice, but then you walked off. You talked to her for 30 seconds, joked, teased her a little bit. Oh, damn, that fucking hat looks amazing on you. And then you came back and maybe you teased her about something and said, oh, but yeah, I can tell that you're trouble. I'm going to stay away from you. You stay over there. Don't even come near me tonight. And then you walked over and talked to this other person, joked with him for a minute. And then you come back, and then suddenly you're walking by this girl again, and you can see it in her eyes. Her eyes are starting, her pupils are dilating. She's curious about you. You bump into each other. There's some tension. Maybe you reach down and you grab her hand, and she squeezes your hand back, and you're like, oh, interesting. Maybe this is a girl you haven't talked to all night, and you've been in that section of the bar for 2 hours, and you bump into her, slide your hand down within a few seconds, grab her hand because she seemed really open, and she squeezes it back, and then she smiles at you, and it's on instantly. Why would that happen? Because she's been watching you all night. It's not a few, this is something that Lance would say. It's not a few second interaction. It's a 2 hour or an hour, and however long she's been curious and looking at you and watching the way you're being. For her, she's been getting to know you for a while. Maybe you just saw her. And when you get that squeeze, then that's not 100%, but often that's interest. There's something going on there. And so you suddenly turn back around and you look at her, and you can see that look in her eyes, and you start smiling. Now, I described this before, and we're going to get into we're going to get into Landon's experience. But I described this in the call last week, that I've had it happen where I bump into a girl, it's on, we're looking right at each other, holding hands, and there's tension between us. And the next thing you know, we're kissing and our interaction's only what, 20 seconds? But that's not a 20-second interaction. It's a much longer interaction. Because not only has she been watching you, but there's something else going on. Everything in you is open. You're lit up. Your subcommunication. You feeling grounded. Your power's on because you're having so much fun. Because you've met so many people that have, in a sense, validated you. Now, the getting validation is not bad. It's the attachment to validation that's bad. So you get validated. Your energy opens up. You feel better and better and better. And she also feels that. She feels your turn on. She feels your heart. She feels your groundedness. She feels your ability. And then she's watching you lead all these people. And it's a really powerful moment. Now, I tell a really good story. I go into more details about this time that I ended up, this one girl that I ended up kissing within like 20 seconds or something, but in a bar where I had been doing this. Okay. I don't know how long it was a few seconds. It was a fun interaction. So definitely listen to the previous call last week on working the room, and you'll hear that story. But now I want to dive into Landon's story. So Landon, when we got in the room and I started talking about this concept, when we first went in the room and I started talking to you about this concept, and I said, well, and I remember you saying, well, how do you work a room like this? And I finally went, okay. Because I hadn't done it in so long. I was like, I don't want to do this right now, especially in a college bar. I don't want to do this. These kids are too young. And I said, whatever, we just have fun in here. We don't have to hit on anybody. We'll just have fun. We'll just talk to people, joke with people. And so I started to raise my energy and your energy. What was that? Do you remember that moment?
Yeah, part of it was like what you mentioned on the Sunday video was just you and I talking together and having bigger energy as you and I are conversating. And then using that energy, maybe, if you will, to propel yourself into talking to strangers, people that that you don't know. That's kind of how we bridged all of those gaps there.
Yeah, we started out with each other because our energy was here. Their energy was here, really high, because it's this high energy. Let's play pong. Let's dance around. Let's scream and yell. Girls are like flowing and they're moving from guy to guy and they're looking at guys, and their attention span's about 10 seconds, right? And then you see the guys in there and their attention span is also about 10 seconds. They're really confident guys. And they're big energy too. They're demonstrating this freedom from outcome with their attitude. So they're walking up to girls, hey, blah, 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 and then rejecting them, looking over here, talking to their buddy, patting them on the back, going over here, hey man, what's up? And you could see this. Some guys were even doing it with us a little bit. We first walked in, those guys were talking about the martial arts and stuff. And that one guy in his group, he was the leader of his group. And so we had to get our energy bigger, because I knew this is the mistake a lot of you make. You go up and you start talking. The energy's here. You're here. You got to be here or a little above. And you got to stay grounded. You don't want to become a dancing monkey. A dancing monkey is somebody that gets ungrounded and just starts becoming an entertainer. You need to still be solid. So so we have to bring our energy up so that when we open up people and start talking to them, they'll see us as part of the flow of energy versus trying to pull them down, right? So you had the experience of trying to open some women from a lower energy perspective. Your energy was here, their energy was here. What happened when you did that?
Oh, it's demoralizing. It's a bit you feel grief or guilt or shame, all of that in one heartbeat, you might say.
And we'll go through the details of what happened. You walk up, you open up, and then why do you feel demoralizing? You go to talk to them, and how do they respond? What causes all
Because
that?
you can immediately sense their energy. If your energy is not, if it's lower or if it's not right on where it needs to be, you can immediately see them, turning away or turning their energy away or not wanting to connect with you. So, that can get into your head and mess with you a bit.
And how did they do that? What were the common different ways they would do it? You said one was they'd turn away. They just start talking.
Yeah.
They'd maybe say one or two sentences, turn away, and start talking to their friend, or what?
Yep, exactly. Or just
What
ignore
else?
you,
Okay, look at
just
their cell
ignore
phone.
you.
Start
Yeah.
looking at their cell phone, and then they might grab their friend and walk away. I've seen that happen. They
Yep.
might
Yeah.
be ice cold. You ever get the woman that's just icy cold? She's just like, yeah, 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 and then, or they'll say, you know what, I'm just having a night with my girlfriend right now. Do you mind? And there's this curtness to them, right?
I
Right.
had one girl tell me she couldn't speak English, and she started speaking Spanish all of a sudden to me.
that happens too. And so all kinds of ways, any way they can think of to reject, then they're usually trying to be they're not trying to be direct. They're trying to do it in an indirect fashion. Now, there are some women that are direct, and there's some women that'll tell you to fuck off. It's pretty rare, but it happens. Um, and you said felt how? You said demoralizing?
I think the big part of it is just kind of shameful. Like I am wrong, or there's something I need to fix. That kind of,
Nice.
yeah.
Okay, good, good. So you felt that energy. And I started explaining to you, got to be a bigger energy. And I think in the beginning, I said, you got to be a big, and I've said this to so many students, you got to be a bigger energy. You're too low. And then they go open up as a low energy again. They go open up as a low energy again. So then I say to myself, how do I get their energy, their vibration to match the room without turning them into a dancing monkey? How do I get their energy to be big and bold and to start to be this demonstration of freedom from outcome? I'm going to have fun and you can join me, or you can join me, or you can join me, or hey, what's up? You're cute. You can join me. Come here, come here. Otherwise, no, go away. I'm going to talk to this person now. And there's this bigger flowing of energy. So the first step is we got to raise your vibration up a little bit. So you said it earlier, right? We started talking to each other as a bigger energy. Can you describe what we were doing, what I was having you do to make that happen?
Well, a big part of it was just familiarizing me as to what big energy means. So you're
Okay.
emulating what that means directly with me, so I can mirror that with you, and then use that to my advantage.
Okay. How did we do that? Yeah. Now that's a great description of an idea. But now give us literal things we did to make that happen.
I think we were hitting each other on the arms. We were just talking louder. Uh, Maybe even our body language got a little bit wider, a little bit bigger,
Yeah.
and
So okay.
you know, having a little bit upper energy, but also while also being grounded and
Okay. I'm gonna help you
relaxed.
along. I'm gonna help you along here. That you got that. That
Yeah,
was better. That was better. But now, first thing I started doing is saying, okay, you got to be bigger. And I start talking bigger. I started opening my heart. I start opening my throat. And I'm like, hey, Landon, you got to be bigger. I start talking with my hands. That was really hard to get you to do, by the way. You would not talk with your hands. You putting them down. Right. I say, no, move your hands. I pick your hands up, move your hands, talk with me, put your arm around me, joke, hit me on the back, come back, yell. Like I'm going to stand and I'd stand 3 feet away. Now yell at me and don't give a fuck what anybody says. 3, 5 feet, 10 feet. Hey, Brian, yell, come here, check this out, and sound excited. And
yeah,
then if somebody looks, wave to them really quick because you yelled, smile at them, wink at them, whatever, you know. And then so we kept doing this, kept going through the room, talking very loudly. And then I started, once we got you talking loudly with me, and sometimes I'll stand 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 feet away from people and have you yelling at me in a loud bar, getting farther and farther away, yell, scream. Um, and then we started looking around the room and shooting our energy out and smiling to people and start waving and this is another one. This is another one. I don't know if I had you do this, but I have you start doing the highs that night, standing highs or moving highs.
no,
Okay, there's another one. I'll have a client do 100 highs in the bar. Find a position and just say, hey, what's up? How you doing? Nice hat. It doesn't have to be a high. It can be a compliment. Oh, that's a sexy dress. You're out for trouble tonight, aren't you? And just kind of comment to people as they go by. That's to get used to it. That's not the actual work in the room, but that's to get used to it. And people will be like, oh, thanks, man. Hey, what's up? And people will start to respond. And I'll put usually when I have somebody do that, I put them in a high traffic area where they can kind of just joke with people. If their energy's on, people will love it. If their energy's off, people will be like, okay, and they won't love it. I've never had a problem doing 100 highs in bars once, but I've seen people with really low heavy energy have. I've seen this only happen once or twice, but I've seen somebody at the bar come over and go, "Hey, what are you doing?" Or "I know what you're doing. You need to stop it," or some whatever. So that was a bouncer said that to somebody once, and he's like, "I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know if he thought he was selling drugs or what." But he was so bad at him, he drew weird attention. When I do them, people would be smiling. They would say, hey, thanks, man. They remember me later, because the energy was so big and giving in my energy, right? So the next thing I had you do is start talking to people, opening a lot of people. And I said, start with the easy ones. Like that dude, if he's easy to talk to and he's a big energy and he's going to validate you back, go right there. That girl over there, you're not attracted to her at all, but you can make her laugh, go there. Start conversations. Boom, 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 moving through the bar. Did we start to do that?
absolutely.
And so what happened there? Because I think you started out a little slow. You started out a little heavy, right? And then you started to get,
Yeah,
and I kept making you talk more with your hands and get bigger. I think I even told you yell at the top of your lungs once when you go to open somebody because I knew that you still wouldn't be too loud. In your mind, it would be really loud, but it wouldn't be.
right.
And did I have you do that?
It seems like you did, yeah.
Okay. And so talk about that. What happened when you started to open people more and more?
Yeah, so going with the easier people, for me, it's easier to relate to other men. And so just talking to other men, most of the kids or most of the guys that were there were, uh,
Well, they
in
were
their
cute.
18 to 20 or 21, I guess. They had to be 21, I guess, to get in the club. So, but they were pretty young.
No, they
So,
weren't 18. Yeah, they were over 21 because there was a
yeah, over
21 and over
21.
bar. Yeah.
Yeah.
But in your
So,
mind, they're really young.
so it was kind of interesting to talk to them, and but they were, they just went with the flow. I mean, they
And how many
talked with me
guys
back,
started
and
in yeah, how many guys started introducing when you started nailing it and you were getting this higher vibration, you were being a bro in the room, like a cool dude. How many of the guys started introducing you to all their friends saying, "Hey, what's up, man? What are you doing here? Where are you from?" Stuff like
yep,
that. And next thing you know, you were starting to build friendships with the guys, right? This
yep,
is great.
exactly.
Okay. And then at a certain point, I think I had you start opening different women, groups of women together, girl, women with guys, and just talking to the group, right? Is that correct?
Yep,
And so again, I had you start doing this when your energy was flowing a little better, hopefully, if I remember correctly. Because what I didn't want you to do is come in lower than them and have 4 or 5 rejections in a row, which would have killed your night. It would have been hard for you to recover from that. What I
yeah,
wanted you to do is have 4 or 5 conversations where you build energy, you have fun. Maybe you talk to the women for 30 seconds, a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, then you move on. And then
yep,
another one, and then
exactly.
you move on. And the guys and the group. Maybe there's a guy, 2 girls, and or maybe 2 guys, 2 girls. You talk to them all. Hey, what are you guys up to? What are you doing tonight? How you doing? And you start flowing with them, giving them a high five. What are you guys drinking? Hey, where are you guys from? Are you from around here? You start just and then you start having fun with this big open-hearted energy. Talk about what happened when that started to happen.
Well, it really opened up the doors. I mean, people were noticing us, and then some girl walked by us, and we started to communicate with her quite a bit. And next thing you know, we were on the
Well, that
dance
was
floor.
later.
So
That was later. That was later. You're jumping ahead. You talked to at least 4 or 5 different 6 different girls at the bar before we even got to that girl.
yeah,
Okay, that girl came by early. As I started a demo and I started to have you like clink drinks with people, say I could throw a high five out, joke with people, hey, what's up? And I started to yell out, hey, nice jacket. And I started to do that. I was demoing for you.
yeah,
That girl walked by early on and she was having fun. She was just drinking with her friends, having a good time. And she was yelling out to everybody, it's my birthday. And I think I yelled back, happy birthday. And I got in her face for a second. And then I turned around and walked away. And there was a good energetic exchange. Or she walked, I can't remember how it went. So we ended up walking away. Then you talked to a couple girls at the bar over here. And I think your first group of girls didn't go as well. They were kind of cold. And then they got a better one and a better one. Then we started to walk down the other side of the bar. And I just kept having you talk to more people. I tended a little bit more towards the guys because you were more comfortable and you could build energy with the guys. I wanted your energy up and then back to the girls and a little bit towards the guys, back to the girls, if I remember correctly. Is this sounding right so far?
yep.
Yeah. And then you had, did you have, how many, did you have a few good conversations with girls besides that one girl that was the birthday girl?
Yeah, there was at least one conversation with a couple of girls that went all right.
Nice, nice. And so, how did you start to feel? How did your state? And then you're a total beginner at this. This is the first time you've done it, and you're barely getting started, and you've built about 10-20% of the energy you could build if you really got good at this. You got just a fraction, maybe even less to that. A tiny bit of your ability is being developed right here. So that this is where I see you, your baby working the room, barely working the room. Okay. But I needed you to get an experience of having your energy match the room's energy so you get an experience of how the room starts to look at you differently. So when our energy got bigger, we were over in that one section by the pool tables. Our energy got bigger because we were talking, we were joking. We've been talking to those guys. We've been talking. I think you talked to the girls at this corner of the table. Now I'm patting you on the back. I'm yelling pretty loud. I'm moving, talking with my hands. I'm being a big energy. What started to happen?
Well, everybody just started to flow well. We just had better communications.
But even before that, did not people start to look? Didn't you see girls start to look out of the corner of their eyes, get curious, start to look over more than they had all night?
I didn't necessarily notice that, but
You called
you,
it out to me that
did
night.
I?
Yes. You said, "She just looked at you." And I said, "Yeah."
Okay.
We started talking about it. And then
Yeah, I
this
don't
girl, there
remember.
was a girl, I can picture her right here, as clear as day. She started looking out of the corner of her eye. And then another girl started to look. And I said, "See, that's what starts to happen. Now they're getting curious." Okay. And then we started to flow down the backside of the bar, or not the backside, red. Just it's not a very big bar, so it's easy to see everybody. And we started to flow a little bit. And then that woman came by again, who was her birthday. And again, now I'd been working the room a bit. I joked with her a bit. We'd flowed. We'd been a big energy. We were on now, and we were enjoying ourselves. She comes by and she's having fun, happy. And I looked at her, and I just, as she went by, I yelled out "Happy birthday!" But I yelled it out really loud. I went "Happy birthday!" And I looked her right in the eyes, and she goes, "How'd you know?" And and then we started to have fun. I started to tease her, and I don't remember what I said. She started to lean into me, but you were becoming a bigger energy, and I could see that you
Yeah.
were starting to become a bigger energy. She started to lean into me, and she started to reach down trying to grab my hand, which was very interesting. I was like, okay, she's turned on, she's attracted. This is what starts to happen. And then I slowly started talking to her, but shrinking my energy, introducing her to you. And I was having you be a big energy in front of her, and you started to be a big energy. And as I shrunk my energy and pulled back into the chair, and started to become a shy guy in a sense, and and then kept moving her to you, and you were being a bigger energy. Her energy moved to you
Yep.
naturally. And
Yep.
next thing you know, you two were dancing and flirting, and then take it from there. What happened from there?
Yeah. Well, we like you said, we went to the dance club or to the dance floor, and we danced and we kissed a little bit, and it was there was quite a bit of heat, if you will, there between us,
Yeah.
and some passion,
How long did
and
that process take from the moment we started building energy to that moment?
it it was only like a 5 minute. I mean, five, no more than 10 minutes.
No,
It didn't take
I
long.
would say 10, 15, somewhere in that range, maybe 15. I wouldn't
Yeah.
say 5, but it was a bit longer. It tends to go in a flash, right? And that's what I want to point out. Now you're barely good at this. You're just learning. You kept shrinking back down. I kept having to pull you back out. So I tell guys to do this. They're like, I'm gonna go do it. And then they get to the bar and they're like, hi, hi. And it never gets started because they can't be a big energy because they're so shy and nervous. And so you need this coaxing, you need this pushing. One of the ways I used to have students do this a long time ago. And so this is powerful. This is what can happen in 15, 20 minutes of doing this, and it starts to build. And so this is because I had many different interactions. My energy was flowing. I was having a good time. Um, so one of the things I used to have students do is I'd take them in on weeknights to bars that weren't very busy. This was a chaotic mess, right? And doing the highs is great. But another thing is you can go through a bar that's got people sitting all around the bar and just say hi to every person sitting at that bar. I remember the first student I had this do this to. I said, "You're going to go to the right and you're going to say hi to every person in this bar, not skipping anybody. You're going to talk to those two people, then right next to them, those two people, right next to them, and you're going to go around the whole bar until you've met everybody. And you're going to match their energy or be a little bit bigger. And I'm going to stand behind you. And if you spend too much time talking to somebody, like you're really like you're trying to, because what'll happen is you guys are scared of the converse. You're scared of starting the conversation. You're scared of the introduction. But once you find somebody that treats you well, you'll want to hide, especially if you're not attracted to them. It's a nice guy, wants to buy you buy you a drink, excuse me, wants to buy you a drink, wants to buy you a girl that's sweet, but you're not attracted to. That's kind of nice to talk to. Maybe she's a married woman that's not available, but you keep talking to her. So you guys will, and so I'm like, no, 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 no. Introduction, get to know them for a few minutes, move to the next one. So I'll sit there and I'll stand behind you, and you guys can do this. Tap, next one, tap, next one, tap, next one, tap, next one. And I'll keep going. I'll give you like on timer, 30 minutes, minute, 2 minutes. And sometimes I'll give longer time, less time. But immediately, I want you to, before you can socialize with any one person, you need to say hi to everybody. And because it's a quieter bar, people are really going to notice you, and they're going to watch you, and they're going to know you're coming around that bar. And I've had this happen where I'm doing it, and I remember going around this bar, and it was like a Wednesday night or Tuesday night, and I'm boom, 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 and I turned the corner, and there was this couple sitting there. This was early on when I was like experimenting with this, and I kept breaking the ice. And so with each one, I'm like, "Hey, what's up? How you doing?" And then they're like, "I'm like, my name's Brian." They're like, "Well, what are you up to tonight?" And I'm like, and sometimes I'd say the truth. I'd say, "I'm just meeting everybody in this bar tonight. I told my buddy I wanted to meet everybody in this bar." And then they'll be like, "Well, sit down and have a drink with us. You're cool. I can't believe you got balls, man." And I'd be like, "I can't. I got to meet everybody in this bar, but I'll come back after I'm done." And they'll be like, "Well, you better." And they're like, "No, no, no, stay for a little bit longer." And sometimes they insist. And I'm like, "No, I got to go, but I will come back." "Okay, well, don't you ditch us." And then you'll come to another one, and they're kind of in an intimate bubble. And then they're like, "Okay, what do you want?" And then you got to let that go because it didn't connect. And the next one, you guys, there we go. You're back, I think. Can you hear me, Landon?
I'm back.
Okay, cool. I was losing connection there. So then I come around that corner, that one bar, and I remember there was, and this has happened more than once. People, they got watching you, they know. And this girl, but this is just a perfect example of this girl was sitting on a stool with that rotated, and this guy was next to her, and she swung around, looked you dead in the eye, and smiled big and went, "Yes." She knew I was coming, and she was super curious as to what I was doing. So we started chatting. It was on like that. She was flirting, and I could see the guy getting nervous. And that happens too. Because I was being so confident, so free from outcomes, she was super curious. And now this guy is like, hey, and I can feel how uncomfortable he got. And so that'll happen too. And so this is just part of the dance, and you're going to encounter everything. By doing this, you're going to have to learn to deal with every personality type. And that's what's going to come up. So then I went on to the next one, and you just keep doing it. Now, every time you do this, it's going to push the boundaries of what you're capable of. And if your energy is too low, nobody's going to want to talk to you. If your energy is really solid and matching their vibration, lots of people are going to want to talk to you. Some people still not. And you're going to see more and more connections going on. And then you're going to have to go release all the stories that come up. Oh my God, I can't, because you'd be surprised how many people get terrified of doing this. And then you start flowing from there. And then you can do bigger and bigger crowds. You can do more highs, and you start learning to own that room. When you get free in the room and you don't worry about what people think of you, women will get attracted to you just by your social confidence. And they will make themselves known throughout the night as you bump into them, as they smile at you, as they start looking at you, as the way they grab your hand and squeeze on it. That you're not at that level yet, Landon, totally, but you can get there very quick. So, do you want to say anything else about this?
Well, I will say that for me, I'm an extrovert. So I still have the tendency of shrinking my energy and playing small. And even though as an extrovert, I'm around, I get my energy from being around big groups of people. I still struggle with that. So it, it's going to happen to, it can happen to people who are introverted just as easily as people who are extroverted.
Well, I've seen what extroverted people do when they get into a room full of people. I see a lot of this, and they're nervous and they're scared. Is they start distracting a lot. They start becoming a big energy, but I'm going to go this way. I'm going to go talk to that person that I already know. I'm going to, oh yeah, hi, and they won't look you straight in the eyes, and they look up and they look down, and they're like, and their energy's all over the place, like it's short circuiting. What introverts typically do is just shut down, go inward, go down, and then they get small, and they're trying to hide inside themselves. And you do some of each. I've seen you do some of each. I think you're on the cusp.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I'm about 64.
Yeah. And so this is work in the room, guys, and it's a talent that you will develop over time, and you have to give it time. I would say give it 2-3 months of doing it on a regular basis, and then watch how people, and it not only will change your relationship in bars, but suddenly when you go to a coffee shop, you'll be a bigger energy, and you'll just joke with people. You'll laugh with, like, I was at the ski resort today. Okay. Second time seeing this girl at the ski resort. She's so cool. The first time I teased the shit out of her and she laughed her ass off. She was charging me for my food. And tonight I saw her again, and it had been months. I hadn't seen her there for months, and so tonight I remembered her, and I had to think back. And I started teasing her again, and she started laughing. She's like, "Oh, you make me laugh so much. You're so funny." And we were having a good old time. And I noticed she didn't even tell me this. I gave her my season pass, which gives me like a 10% discount. I went to sit down, and she'd give me a 50% employee discount. Don't get her in trouble. Now, and I was just laughing. I was like, that's cool, because she didn't even tell me she did. I was like, why is this so cheap? All this food at a ski resort. It didn't make sense. And that's one of the key things I started to notice when I got really good at being this bigger energy, bantery energy, playful energy, joking with person, not getting serious with each one. I started to get a lot of food discounts and free food, because I would do it with the baristas, the waitresses, the everywhere I went, the restaurant workers, and suddenly people. This one sushi place, I've never ate so much free sushi. They would make me just slide it out to me all the time. Even the dudes are just, they liked me. They thought I was cool. So this stuff starts to happen. Okay. Let's see here. Let's take a look at the chat for a bit. Okay, what we got here? Okay, guys, we're gonna start looking. We don't have anybody in the chat tonight, if you guys probably haven't noticed, because Landon's sitting here right here talking to me. So what I want you guys to do is, if you had questions you wanted to ask, we're gonna start taking them now. But I'm not gonna search through the chat for your questions. I have to start looking at it right now. And I'm gonna start to dig through this a little bit at a time. I'm devoting myself, Justin wrote, I'm devoting myself to only one person, and that's also important. Um, and that's also important in flirtation with intention. I only have desire for the woman God has for me, though I will show up and create a safe space for the, I don't know what the for the is, but yeah, I agree with you completely. Like, think about this, Justin. If you go out and learn to work the room, it's not about taking a girl home per se. You're just going in and making a bunch of people smile and be happy and having a great time. And maybe you do that every night for several months, and you do it at you do it at events like with your church, and you do it with you do it at, wherever there's social gatherings. You joke with people, you laugh with people, you become a little bit of the light of the room. You build your way up slowly over time, the ability to do this. That right woman might just show up one day, and you look her in the eyes and you're like, that's her. And it's all because you were demonstrating freedom from outcome. She was drawn to you. So that's a perfect example. Great, great comment. I'm glad you put it there, buddy. And okay. Oh, other women he doesn't have sexual energy for. That's what he's saying. Can you talk about dealing with overwhelm in a bar? Yeah, this is really important, because working the room will create overwhelm. Did you have that experience, Landon?
Oh, absolutely. I think that's
Yeah.
a big part of the shame feeling that you're feeling, is that apathy and that shame down there. You're overwhelmed, you're numbing yourself out, and you're getting in your head, and you're getting nervous and anxious and all of that.
Yep. Did we do anything to counter that, me and you?
I don't believe we did it right then and there. Just later on, I used all the knowledge I have in releasing, revealing, to do it later on.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it. Yeah, you got heavy after we left. You started to beat yourself up because you wanted to do better than you did, or you actually did really well for the first time, and you were hard on yourself, which is very common for seeing people do. Men do when they do this stuff, and I had to do some reframes on you. I would talk to you about releasing, letting go of some stories, and that's the beauty of this. If you can do it even a little bit, and then go home and release and come back the next day and do it a little bit. Maybe you start out by doing highs and then introducing yourself to two people and then not even hitting on anybody or flirting. And then you go home and release. Then the next night you go, I'm going to do some highs. I'm going to introduce myself to three people. Then maybe the next night you introduce yourself to five people, and that's it. And maybe one night you slow down and do only two people with no highs. And the next night you do 100 highs and straight at a busy bar on a Saturday night. And then you decide if you want to introduce, and you keep doing it. And then every time you release all the stories that come up, all the fear, and you do, and you start revealing this side of you that can really own a room. And if you keep doing this, and let's say you commit to a 3-month practice of this, you can really change your life in a lot, in a huge amount. I've even done this, Neil. I'd go out like multiple nights a week when I was working on my social skills in a bar. I'd go out many nights a week. And I go in and say hi to a bunch of people. And as soon as I started to feel like I popped the breaker, I couldn't do it anymore. I was going into frustration and stuff. I'd leave the bar, go. And I remember this one bar was right across from the street from a beach. And I'd walk out towards the beach and I would release and let go until I calmed down. Then I go back in and then I go back out. Then I go back in. Then I go back out. And so there's this sense of experiencing the external, the bar, and then going back in and releasing and relaxing my internal. There's also this cool tree I'd go sit by, and I'd sit under this tree, huge tree, and release, and then I'd go back in. Then there was a period even before that where I was so anxious in a bar, I couldn't talk to anybody. I couldn't even do highs. I couldn't do it. This is a long time ago, and I would go in and I would just be like almost shaking. I had so much social anxiety back in the day. So I'd go sit in the bars every night. I would put my cell phone away. I wasn't allowed to look at it. And I would order a drink of water and I would sit at the bar and I'd just look around, listen to music, and I'd practice just relaxing and enjoying the music without a cell phone. And I would often sit next to pretty girls. And I just said, I don't have to talk to anybody. Can I get to the point where I can open my heart and relax in this bar? I remember that took about a week of doing that. I got so anxious, so anxious, so anxious. And then one night my body just relaxed and I went, oh, I can breathe in here now. I'm not worried about what people think of me like I was. And then I started to move forward from there. So it's these processes. You have a breaking point. And I don't know if you've seen this, Landon. Do you have a breaking point where you'll start to work, and when that breaking point hits, you go into frustration, and you go into numbness, and you can't feel anymore. At that point, you need to get out of the environment and reduce the tension and get your energy going again. Then back into the environment and back out. So you got to find that sweet spot for you. If you're going into total overwhelm, and even being near a bar causes overwhelm, maybe you need to not even go in the bars at first. Maybe you need to just be out in front of the bars. Maybe you need to be out on, if it's a bar. Maybe you need to just go somewhere else altogether, and you work your way up. You got to find the progression that works for you. If you need a coach, get a coach. There's a lot of good coaches out there, guys, but just make sure that he is expressing the way you want to express, being the way you want to be. So go get a coach. It can be somebody from our team. I think we're freaking amazing. Our team's amazing at transforming people's lives in this area. We've taken clients that have been working on this stuff for 10 years and then changed their whole life after 10 years of not getting success. And we've had that many times, around 10 years, 7 years. I've heard different numbers. So think about that for a minute. If you really want to go for it, but if you want to do it on your own, these are the principles you got to go by. Do you want to add anything to that, Landon, based on your experience from learning from us?
Yeah, for me, I don't know, I don't remember exactly how long we were there, but let's say maybe an hour, and then which was pretty intense. And so after that night, I did a lot of releasing. I let go and kind of went through that barrier, you might say, like you were talking about, where I experienced all those emotions, and then I finally let go and released. And then the next time we went out, or one of the next times that we went out, you noticed that I was more open than you ever saw. That was a comment, or a similar comment to that is what you gave me. So
yeah, I see a lot of guys have their breakthrough after they beat themselves up for a while. They'll go through periods of beating themselves up, then have a breakthrough. Then they'll find a new period of beating themselves up, then they have a breakthrough. And they're like, oh, everything's wrong. Oh, I'm better than ever before. Oh, everything's wrong. Oh, I'm better than ever before. And that cycle goes on for a while until you stop taking your internal thoughts personally. Eventually you go, oh, those are just thoughts. They're not even me. Oh, I don't have to take them serious. Oh, yeah, it's just bitching in the background. I can ignore it. And that's when life gets a lot easier. Okay, let's see here. Okay, I'm looking for more questions. Beauty needs a witness. Sexy needs a witness. That's you're stealing shit from Zan, buddy. I know that. I know that, Jason. Zan is actually really good at this. Work in a room. I didn't realize that's not where I learned it from. I learned it before I ever met Zan, but I remember going. And remember going into bars with Zan, and he doesn't direct approach. He just walks up to women as they go by. Hey, come here, come here, come here. Oh my God, that dress looks so sexy on you. Now go away, go away, go away. I don't want to talk to you anymore. And then he'll do something like that. And then he'll see another girl. Oh, look at you. I saw you looking at me. It's okay. You don't have to admit it. And then he'll walk up to another girl, and what did he say to this one girl? We were walking next to each other, and she was sitting right by the door, and she was looking. She was cute, and he walks up to her. Oh yeah, she's sitting by the door, and she's kind of by herself. And he just looks her right in the eye, and goes, "Some guy's gonna try to fuck you tonight. Don't you let him fuck you." And then he turns and walks away. And she's like, "What the fuck just happened?" And then he's smiling at some other girls he talked to earlier, and he's waving to them. And then he must have been 15 minutes later. That girl's still there. 10 minutes later, maybe it was 5. And he walks right back up to her, and he goes, "Anybody try to fuck you yet?" And she just starts laughing. And you see what happens? It's playful. And he opens it up. Now, it doesn't all have to be that playful. You can have some discussions. You can talk. You can be playful. You can have a deep moment with the dudes. There's a lot you can do. Zan just focuses on playful energy with women. And that's how he builds it. Okay. Let's go down here and see what we got. Okay, let's come down here. Here's a thank you for Landon. Thank you for commenting on the YouTube. Yep, Landon. He's got this.
My pleasure.
On his own, Landon made this whole library of my videos and what the topics are, because the titles that I don't know which one we didn't have this library. We needed it. And so now that's why when you guys are talking, he's always posting different videos for you guys to reference. It's killer catalog he's been creating. So props to Landon, man. Okay. Any more questions, guys, for tonight? Okay. You guys seem to be making a lot of comments that are just about like life in general. I'm trying to see if there's any that relate to the topic, or any questions in general. You're just kind of making statements, and those statements aren't really questions. So do I need to go farther back and look for questions, or has anybody got one for me? Okay. Well, if that's it, guys, then we're going to call it a night. I think it was a great topic. Okay, here's one. Okay, let's play with this one. Question: moving a conversation through your emotions with her, how can we improve how we do this? You got to be free with your own emotions. Yeah, women are this is a great topic. It's one of my favorites. Women are constantly changing emotions. And when they go to a bar and there's a group of women, maybe 5, 6, 7, they're all at a table together and they're all blah, 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 or even 2, they're typically going up and down in an emotional. They're talking about a time they were sad, they were angry, or what their boss did to them, or this guy at work was looking at me this way. And it's all about this emotional relationship, and they're sharing emotions. And when one woman shares like sadness, the other woman goes, "Oh yeah, I remember when I felt that way." And then she'll talk about a time she felt sad. Not necessarily the same topic, but a time she felt similar. And she can relate. Or she might just go, "Tell me, oh well, yeah, I remember going through, what tell me more. Oh, poor thing." And they relate to each other through emotions. You can do the same thing, but in a masculine way. You can learn to set yourself free so you can feel all these emotions. You can just learn to welcome sadness. Remember a time I felt sad, and not take it personal. Remember a time I felt angry. Yeah, that motherfucker. And in a weird sort of way, you're feeling the anger because you're going into the memory, but you're in cap while doing it a lot of the time. And because you're not attached to it or averse to it, it doesn't really own you anymore. So you can go back to that emotion. How I did that is very simple, but it does take a little bit of practice. Is I wrote down a ton of different emotions, and then I went through my memory and I said, when did I feel this emotion? When did I feel sad? When did I feel angry? When did I feel lonely? When did I feel hurt? When was my first breakup? When was my first sense of loss? And I would write down 2 or 3 topics from my past that I've experienced that emotion. Then I practiced telling those stories, short versions, long versions. I had a list of experiences. The time I felt the happiest, time I felt joy, when I felt really turned on, first time I was in love, first time I was in lust. Oh man, that's an interesting one. First time I was in lust. I don't know why. I remember Olivia Newton-John came to mind from Greece. Oh my god. When she was in that black outfit, I was a really little guy. And but yeah, if you guys had ever seen that, it's going way back. But yeah, and then learning to laugh at this stuff and tell those stories, but you got to tell them authentically and really feel the emotions again. So when you hear a woman or you want to tell emotion about sadness and you start learning to ride the waves of the emotions up and down without making them right or wrong, you start to go free. So you got to practice telling them with friends and strangers. Then eventually you can do it work in the room with all the people you're talking to and get a story out with each one. Like you could work a whole bar on a Wednesday night and get a story out with each one to whatever comes up after you've been working these stories. And you'll start becoming a really good storyteller and you start expressing more emotions. You got to express them from the body. Love, turn on is down here. Love is up here. Anger, and you'll start learning to feel all that stuff. So that's the fast version of that. I have videos on it somewhere. I'm sure Landon has notes on those videos. And did you ever find that video where I taught that? Did you ever see one of those where I taught that technique?
Oh,
Do you know what I'm talking about? The one I just described?
you might have to explain it a little bit more because I'm drawing a blank right at the moment.
Maybe I just need to do another video on it because it's been so long. So if you don't
I know
recognize it,
you told me that lessons, or you gave me that advice when I was up there in Montana, but I don't recall ever seeing a video on it.
it's one of the best things I ever did for myself. When I wrote down emotions and stories, I had no stories for my life. I was like, I don't know. And then I started doing it. One story popped up, two stories. And then pretty soon, all these stories I didn't write down started coming up. Like, and my brain got the idea. And then I would be out and a story pop up. I'm like, it's not even one of the stories I wrote down, but it's true and it fits. So I'm going to use it. And I would relate to somebody through a story. Then there's also learning to listen and not doing it too fast, learning to really pull them out first for a bit and really elicit emotions from their story. Yeah, really tell me more about that. Oh, how did that make you feel? Interesting. And then when you've really felt them, then maybe share something back. Some people jump too quick into their story. So yeah, you need to do that, Landon. And then you go work the room again. Have you work
Absolutely.
everybody and do that with everybody in the room.
Yep.
Okay.
I plan to.
Good. Okay. Alcohol hinders your ability to feel. Yes, it does. It can make you feel a lot of emotions that are repressed that maybe you don't want to feel. Anger, sadness, grief. Sometimes people get really happy, but they're out of control. They're not proactive. They're typically reactive to their emotions. Do you want to share anything on that, Landon? Because you went through that.
Yeah, to me, it's more of a filters out those lower level emotions. That's kind of what a lot of drugs do. It filters out the lower level emotions so that you can feel that ecstasy, those upper level emotions, um, courage, even anger maybe, but courage, and that's where you get ballsy, and the alcohol fuels a lot, right? But
So you weren't a depressed drunk where you would drink and then get sad. It sounds like.
no, as I would get drunk and want to be around people and have fun.
Yeah, that makes sense. But some people get really sad. They'll drink and start crying, and
That's kind of like the next day when you're
uh,
coming down, because alcohol is such a depressant. I mean, and when I began to feel those emotions, it was like, you know what, I got to give this stuff up. This stuff's killing me, and
yeah.
it's not helping me by any means.
Yeah, the alcohol never did it. I would do Red Bull and vodka back in my bar days, so I guess it helped a little bit, but it was mostly the Red Bull. That was I'd get enough Red Bull in me, I'd grow balls of steel and start going and doing shit. And the vodka just probably took the edge off a bit. But it was boy that screwed up my body. That Red Bull, it really wasn't. It was Red Bull and Rock Stars, really screwed up my body, and I don't touch them at all anymore. Hardly. Once in a blue moon when I'm driving across country and I don't want to crash, but that's about it. Yeah, alcohol takes more than it gives. I agree with you. That's why we when we're teaching our students, we don't let you drink. If you want to do it on your own, you can. I'm not opposed to a drink here and there. I'll have a drink, but I've never been in a relationship. I'm 31. Is this bad? No. It's just you haven't been in a relationship. Now, do you want to be in a relationship? Go get in a relationship. Do the work, get in a relationship. If you want to be married, do the work, go get married. I've never been married. Is it bad? No. I think it's a good thing that I've never been married. It doesn't mean I don't want to be married. I just know if I got married at a young age, I would have been unhappy. I would have married the wrong person because I wasn't complete. As I get happier, though, I know that if I get married, it's going to be awesome because I'm becoming somebody worth marrying. So I'll draw somebody worth marrying. If I'm being an asshole, I'll draw somebody who will reflect that energy back, right? And we'll both be miserable together. So you just got to decide what you want and not worry about your past.
Yeah,
Um,
if it's causing grief or pain in that regard, you need to release on that.
yeah,
You got to be
get in the
happy with
revealing,
where you're at, exactly where you're at right now.
get in the revealing process. Learn to let it all go, and then you learn to create the reality you want. But if you keep worrying about what you did in the past, it's never going to get anywhere. And it doesn't matter what you've done in the past. To be honest, nobody cares really that much. Only you. So you're going to meet plenty of women who, once you let go of enough, will want to be in a relationship with you. Okay. Um, okay, let's check. Like John F. Kennedy wrote, to be the more interesting man in the room, would you say you are flirting with all women most of the time? Women and men. You're joking and ball busting with your bros and having a good time with guys and laughing and being and you're either flirting with women, or if you're not flirting with them directly, you're just making them feel pretty or seen, or you're setting boundaries with people that are rude without being reactive, so you don't end up in fights. You're walking away from people that treat you like shit and walking over to people that treat you good, and then sometimes those people that treat you like shit turn around and start treating you better than anybody in the bar because you wouldn't put up with their shit. And um, and so that's what makes you interesting. That's what makes you solid. Okay. Um, so it's about, but if Zan really primarily worked the women, but he did have his bros. His bros are people he already knew. He didn't typically go in the bar and hang out with new guys. He would mostly flirt with the women and then hang out with like me and different guys that he knows, Kelly, people like that, and have a great time and go from there. Um, Okay, I think that's it, guys. You guys are awesome. If there's any last question, pop it in now. Landon, do you want to say anything before we close this out today? It was great having you on here and talking about this because
Well,
I want to see.
I
Go
think it's
ahead.
a great topic. I mean, we could probably do a whole course on
Oh, easily, easily. I just haven't been wanting to go to bars in forever,
it.
but I know you like it, so maybe we need to get you out to the bars with Anthony, and then and you guys can tear it up. Um, but
Let's
uh,
do it.
But I burned out on that stuff years ago. That's why it's not we don't teach a lot of bar game and stuff like that. We teach guys to connect with women and have and become very powerful human beings and really know what they want and go after their dreams and be solid men, contain and lead and you can apply it to anything. Bars, you can apply it to street, walking up. We teach a lot of our clients how to walk up on the street and be ballsy and direct. And I was watching a video today that Anthony did, and he was just talking about how much he loves being super direct and not wasting his time. It was a great video. It's going to come out on one of these Fridays coming up, and I kept watching it over and over. It's like, this is a good video, man. And yeah, the picture quality wasn't great. Audio had some wind noise. He was at the beach. They got to work on all that with him. But the content is getting better and better in his stuff. So definitely check it out. And I thought what he was saying there was really potent. So many guys want to beat around the bush with women. Yeah, there's a place for indirect opens for sure. Like if I'm not sure I like the girl or even but there's something interesting, I might do something indirect, hey, what's up? Or if I'm just flowing through the day, I might indirectly open the girl next to me without thinking. But then if you really like them, then you can switch to direct at any moment, even after you've done an indirect. You can switch to I want to know you. And here's the funny thing. Most of the guys that I see that are killing it with women, clients, a lot of our clients that have come up that have been killing it lately, they really know how to contain. They really know how to lead. They really know how to have that boyish charm with girls. Like, oh my God, there's something about you. And they really know how to take charge. They really know how to be direct with the boyish charm. I see a lot of this going on. Eddie Brick, he's just, he's 5'2" and he killed it. He's married now, but boy, he was direct with women. He'd lead, he contained, and then he had this boyish charm that how much he thought they were sexy and they loved it. We got a clients in our mastermind that are killing it right now. Like that's same level. I don't want to say their names without permission. One of them's a pretty high up there and he's older. He's in his 60s and He is killing it in his 60s. It blows my mind, some of these people. And he just keeps sending me pictures, and I'm like, oh my God, look at this. Jesus, he's got the dating life of somebody, some hot young model in his male model in his 20s. But that's because he knows how to lead, contain, make things happen. And there's so many more. So there's so much to energy. And I know that a lot of people out there, and I'll end on this, and then we'll take this last question. Don't believe that. There's a lot of people out there say, oh, it's all red pill. And it's true. That red pill stuff the way they analyze it is pretty accurate if you were in your animal nature. If you're more atheist and you're in your animal nature and you're dating women that are in that stage of being, yeah, that's going to probably be pretty accurate. But there's other groups of people in different stages of being, women out there that are more in their spiritual nature, they're still in touch with their animal. They're still sexual beings, but they're also in touch with their spirit. And then there's different types and groups of people. And so whatever you focus on, you expand into. If you want to focus on women are all going to take your money, you'll probably get your money taken at some point. That's the way it's going to be, or taken advantage of. So, but if you focus on really opening up, like the women I meet now are so sweet and so giving, and they're so nurturing, and they're so, yeah. And I didn't used to meet that, so that's awesome. Okay, we got this one question from Ricky. Is it Ricky? No, it's MJ. How do I stop seeking validation? Get rejected a bunch or something? Well, this is a great question. Watch my video, Releasing All Women. Then watch my video, Releasing All Women in Practice, if it's out already. I think it should be out. And those two are all on getting over the need for validation from women. So those would be great starting point. Landon, do you have any recommendations based on what you know from anything we put out?
I know there's a few YouTube videos on that, and you could probably do a fearless man, validation, and see what comes up.
Yeah,
That'd be
and there is it's one of the core ones in the revealing process is the seeking validation. So, learning to break that up, and it breaks up over time because it really comes down. You got to break up all your abandonment issues, all your codependency issues. So it's not for most people, it's not a simple thing. Although I've seen it be a simple thing. So I don't want to say it's never. I saw one client almost drop all his need for validation almost overnight with revealing. And one day he started laughing a lot over the whole idea he could control people. And then he let go of all his need to control people. And then he just started he never approached women before that. And suddenly he was a ball busting approach machine, all from one release that he laughed his ass off over. And then walked out, looked at women and said, well, I can't control your reaction to me. So who gives a fuck? And he just started walking up to women. And I was like, I've actually seen that a few times. Somebody changed that fast, but it's been rare. He was one. Another one was a guy I was working with in a bar, and he was terrified and holding on to a tree. I found him holding on. He was dramatizing and crying and upset and scared of the women. And he was so dramatic. It was like, dude, are you okay? And I talked to him for a good 45 minutes, an hour. We're doing releasing in the bar with him over and over. And then suddenly his whole demeanor changed. He relaxed and he goes, oh, I feel better. And then he walked right up to this hot chick and started talking to her. Hey. And then that whole night he was approaching like crazy. I was like, it's always interesting when it happens that fast. It usually doesn't, super rare, but it's really cool to watch somebody drop. It makes you realize what's really possible. Okay, guys. Hope you had an awesome night. We're going to close out now. And I know I asked you this once, Len. Is there anything else you want to say? Are we good for the night?
I'm good.
Awesome. It was a great topic. We'll be back next week. I'm sure we'll have another awesome topic. Maybe at some point I'll dig a little deeper into this validation. It seems to be the core topic that you guys all want, is getting over the need for validation. That's really what it comes down to. So we've been talking a lot about that. Maybe we'll just create a whole program. That's really what our programs are all about anyways, but one that's in the title and we go right after it. I don't know, but awesome. We'll see you next week. I want to thank Landon for being here. He was awesome. And I want to keep seeing him doing this if he really loves it. And I want him to see him become the master of this and then come back. And after he's been doing it for 3 months, killing it. And he's ball busting out there, come back and tell his stories about what he's created in this area. It'd be really cool to do that. So So now with that said, if you guys like this video, and it's on YouTube and you're watching it at a future date, make sure to like, make sure to subscribe, make sure to share to anybody you think needs it. Make sure to put comments in the video so that we know what you like, didn't like, what you want more of. And with that said, remember, only the confident really live. And what would you do if you were fearless? See you in the next video or the next webinar.